What's up, everyone? This is Kronos, aka Adam, back with another AEW Week in Review, where I recap and review everything that's gone on in the week of AEW, both on television and online. So that is BTE, AEW Dark, and finally AEW Dynamite. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and go. My social media stuff is down there. So we're gonna get right into it. Obviously, I have my WWE recap and review for the week, the week in review. I also have my NXT Takeover in Your House preview and predictions, and I'll be watching that tonight. And I will give my my reactions. Something just fell on my AC. I'll be giving my reactions, and I'll be posting that on Monday. So look out for that. So let me just get to my notes here. We'll make this as quick as possible. All right, so we're gonna start off with BTE, the episode titled "Gig," and we'll find out why. So we have Brandon Cutler walking into the EVP room where the Bucks, Kenny, Hardy, and Paige are all there, saying that he needs the Bucks and Kenny for media. They actually get really annoyed. They don't want to do it. They don't want to have more work on top of wrestling, kind of acting like belligerent children. They say to come back in 5 minutes. Cutler walks away and then comes back in 5 minutes, and they've all fake bladed themselves. They're all pretending to be cut up and have ketchup packets they were using. I think somebody said New Jack got him, obviously if you get that reference. Paige was looking at his phone but says, yeah, someone got them. He says it really casually. Hardy says it had to have been the Horsemen, which doesn't make any sense. Kenny, then they show that because Cutler goes away, says we can find somebody else. Kenny says he used a pack of ketchup. Nick used this thing called vampire blood, which is fake blood. And then Matt says he also used vampire blood, but everyone realizes he's supposedly really bleeding and really woozy. We then get an explanation of the word gig in wrestling parlance from Broken Matt Hardy with Broken Brilliance, saying that it is blading yourself. And he does the whole explanation of it, which is pretty funny. So we get Matt and Nick are talking the day after Dynamite, the first time they ever teamed with Matt Hardy. And, that they called themselves Spot Monkeys. Big news, obviously, was the arrival of FTR. We then get which we haven't seen in a while, a public swole announcement, basically just saying don't consume Lysol. I won't get into it further than that. We then get Best Friends and Orange Cassidy in the female locker room. Apparently that's where they do all their thinking. Cutler says Nick told them that they have a new bit, and they said, oh wait, no, they don't have any answer for it. So then we get the TH2, the Hybrid 2, with a sign that says the TH2 bit, which is just that they just go on rants saying that there's an injustice, that they weren't in the first tourney to crown the first tag champs. They say that the Dark Order and the Jurassic Express are embarrassments to the tag division. And then we get Kenny saying that he's going to punch out Colt Cabana, and then he's about to punch Colt Cabana, or at least he thinks it's Colt Cabana, and then he turns around, it's Chris Harrington, one of the VPs. Harrington then threatens him. Apparently he was just wearing Colt's jacket, and he won't go after Colt now once he sees Colt because Harrington threatened him. We then get back to Best Friends and Orange Cassidy by the shower, still trying to think of the bit. Chuck comes up with some really horrible idea. Chuck then describes basically them having a normal match, which is obviously not the same as a bit. Trent describes something that ends up being the Land Before Time. And then Cassidy says he has an idea, but they all say, it's probably going to be Fast and Furious. And then when he comes out of the shower, he just says something, and basically it is just a take on Fast and Furious. We get Dustin meeting with the fortune teller Beningo. He asks about Allie because Allie's now taking a shine to QT. He says Beningo says he sees a shattered dreams for Dustin, doesn't know if he's giving it or receiving it. And then once Dustin leaves, Allie's there, looking like she maybe paid Beningo off to tell him what he wanted to hear, or tell him something else to kind of just drive a wedge in there. It looks like that's what she's been doing. We again get a private party recap of everything that happened previously. They leave the car, make a run for it. They're back in the backyard, and the bear starts attacking them. They go on the attack on the bear. The bear recovers and shoots bullets out of his eyes, and then it hits Cassidy. Bones is apparently back alive, and the kid that they thought he killed comes to help them. The bear jumps off the ladder and then explodes on all of them. Apparently, the Bear and Bones now win. The $12 is theirs, and we get movie credits. So that looks like it's an end to the private party segment on being the Elite, at least as far as we know. We then get Broken Hardy is with the Elite. He's telling them stories about the past. Heyman brings them all over, and he doesn't know who the hell this guy is. The Bucks explain who Hardy is and that he has multiple personalities. He then Hardy introduces himself to Paige as if they're meeting for the first time. He touches Paige's hand and then apparently thinks that Paige's essence is actually that of Ben Franklin. Paige gets a little freaked out and leaves, and that is the end of Being the Elite episode. I forget 200 something entitled Gig. Nothing really groundbreaking as far as storyline wise. Obviously some stuff with Allie, which we get to see peppered throughout the week. Obviously stuff with Private Party might be finally over, and then just them talking about the exciting stuff of FTR joining AEW. Alright, so now we're going to go to AEW Dark. Alright, so now we get our first match is John Skyler versus Billy Gunn. Obviously Austin is with him. They are the Gun Club. Taz hates them both, says they're really both annoying. Billy gets John Skyler, starts slapping his ass, trying to get in Skyler's head. Skyler's just no match for Billy's size. Billy is just a huge guy, and it's funny because when you see him from back his WWE days, it just showed how many bigger guys there were in WWE, because he is just so much bigger than most of the guys in AEW. Skyler hits a slingshot spear. We get Billy with a variation of a Blue Thunder Bomb. He goes for the crotch chop, but Austin actually says don't do it, because I think obviously there are legal reasons why he can't do it. Skyler hits a super kick on Billy, goes around for a second, but it's countered with a famouser, and Billy Gunn wins. So we get Billy Gunn with a nice victory. Obviously getting him some work. Obviously he doesn't really do anything. John Skyler wasn't someone that he was burying by winning, so it's not a big deal. We then get Alex Marvez in the parking lot with an interview with Brandy and Dustin. QT is supposedly on his way. They're ranked apparently number 2 in the tag division, which I find very shocking because I don't think they've had many matches. Then QT does pull up. He's honking in a Corvette that apparently he just bought, and because Ali said that he should get it and picked out the color. Brandy tries to wise him up, and QT is letting his new hair get to his head. Obviously he's got the new hair. I don't know what hair plugs or what. Dustin says they need to get to work. QT says, they're going to get some food first and they'll be back. And then Dustin's like, well, why don't you get me something? And he's like, sure, and then drives off. We then get John Cruz and Joe Alonzo versus the Butcher and the Blade. Butcher and the Blade go on the attack before the bell rings. Butcher with a pump handle fall-away slam on Alonzo. They start working over Cruz. Butcher throws Cruz into his partner's corner to allow him to get the tag. Alonzo has absolutely no chance. Butcher does a fun splash, and then Blade pulls Alonzo up from, he has him pinned, but he pulls him up from the count. They do the suplex backbreaker combination on Cruz for the win. Squash match. Butcher and Blade obviously, have more to do on Dynamite. Unfortunately, I think they need to get their wins here when they can, because it doesn't look like they're probably going to get a win next week, as I'll explain later. Whoop. I don't know. Now Bixby's talking. I had Alexa talking yesterday. Now I got Bixby talking now. I don't know what's going on. All right. So then we get a backstage interview with Cutler and Avalon. They're arguing on whose feet touch first in the battle. In the battle royal. In the battle royal for the TNT Championship. Leva says 2 negatives must make a positive, and they should team up. And the reason why they're going to win this time is because she wasn't there the last time. Cutler says, okay, but no cheating. And they say, okay, but, it's the Librarian, so. Christy James versus Kylan King. This is actually the first match we've had between two of the, I guess, considered enhancement talent, which I thought was really interesting. Because especially on Dark, who's going to win pretty much every match, just because if it's someone who's an AEW roster member and someone who's an enhancement talent. So James is yelling in Portuguese. No one understands her. She's pounding King in the corner, stands on King's hair and tries to pull her up by it. We get a pump kick by King and a huge German release suplex. And then King goes for the pin, but James counters and pulls the tights for the win. And for the win. So Christy James does get the win here. Obviously, she's a heel, kind of going with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. and her dancing. So she gets the win there. But I actually like both of them. I think both of them are pretty good. I'd like to see more of them, so we'll see what happens there. So EJ Lewis and Big Game Leroy. So EJ Lewis and Big Game Leroy, you may know from watching Being the Elite. EJ is the one whose house they're always at, and he says, "Hey, it's EJ. I own this house," and they always just like, "Oh, we don't know who you are." And Big Game Leroy is the guy who's playing video games and got his neck snapped by Bones during the big matches there. So this is actually their first in-ring performance against Santana Ortiz. They drew a really shitty straw there. Santana stomps the switch out of Leroy's hands, then insecures him. EJ tagged in and beat up and tossed across the ring. Ortiz with EJ in the gory special while Santana chops him. EJ's about to mount some offense but catches a super kick. Santana with a lion salt but gets off the pin to let Leroy come in. Ortiz with the powerbomb rolls Leroy into Santana, who in the powerbomb position throws behind him into the turnbuckle. It's a lot better than I'm trying to explain it, but it was a really cool double team move. Santana with the jump off Ortiz to do a cannonball in the corner. Then they hit the street sweeper on Leroy for the win. I think EJ and Leroy actually look like decent wrestlers, but I mean, it's against Santana and Ortiz. They had no shot. We then get Cutler and Avalon versus the Natural Nightmares for our main event. Cutler and Avalon come out of the different tunnels. QT has Allie come out with him and brings her to the announce table. Allie is putting over QT. She won't answer anything about the Butcher and the Blade, even though she's married to the Blade. Dustin and Cutler started out. Then we get QT and Avalon. Leva tries to grab QT's ankle. Cutler isn't happy about it. Avalon hits a tope suicida on QT with the distraction. Cutler with the springboard forearm for a 2 count. They're making fun of Excalibur's Honda when they start talking about QT buying the Corvette. On commentary, Cutler with the top rope senton. Dustin breaks up the count. Cutler hits Avalon by accident. Avalon hits Cutler on purpose. Dustin finally gets the hot tag. He does snap power slams on both of them. Avalon hits his martinis with a springboard elbow combo. And QT breaks up the pin. We go for a Shattered Dreams attempt, but Leva grabs Dustin's ankle. Brandon comes in and stuns Leva. Leva sent into Avalon. There's a destroy. Dustin hits a destroyer on Cutler, and QT does his QT cutter for the win. We get a backstage interview with the winning team. QT says he couldn't have done it without Allie, and they're all going to go out and celebrate. So this thing with QT and Allie, I like it. Kind of gives them a little, some more screen time. Interesting to see, if. Obviously, we know that Allie's going to turn on them, and it's going to eventually lead to the breakup of the Natural Nightmares. Them being the number 2 team in the tag team division is already a little weird. So I guess this is kind of a way to maybe get them out of the tag team division without having them take a lot of losses. And obviously, it's interesting to see why they've taken Allie away from the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny gimmick. Maybe they just thought it was. Wasn't working, and they want Allie to get more screen time because I think she actually really is good at what she does, both as an actor and as a wrestler. So eventually it'll probably be some kind of like Brandy Allie match. All right, so then we get AEW Dynamite, the flagship show. Hi, Puppy. Puppy is very much wants to be a part of this. You know what? Here we go. Oh, now she runs. Now she's running. Puppy. She's shaking her butt. Okay. Anyways. So we get Britt Baker in what they call the Rolls Royce, the ROLE''S Royce, which is basically just a dressed up trainer's cart. We start out hot with a really hot match. The AEW Tag Team Title match. Hangman and Omega, the champions, versus Sabian and Havoc, who beat SU last week for the chance to face them. Ford trips Kenny early so Havoc can take advantage. Best friends looking on in the crowd. Sabian apparently trained with the Knight family, which is Paige's family from WWE. Even gets a shout out. JR does a shout out to Paige saying how much he loves her. FTR also in the stands. They're watching. Hangman with the hot tag starts cleaning house. There's a chop fest on Havoc. They're kind of ping-ponging him back and forth between the two of them. Sabian with a springboard attempt, but he's caught by both of them, and they do a double fall-away slam. Ford tries to top rope Rana on Hangman, but Hangman actually catches her, and then Rick Knox says, drop her, so he drops her, and then he throws her out of the ring. Not literally, but figuratively, she's told to go to the back. They're obviously not happy. While that's going on, Havoc hits both of them with a ring wrench. It gets a 2 count on Hangman. There's a double team on Hangman. They do the PK spot on Hangman. He kind of gets up, starts to battle back. It's the hot tag to Kenny. Kenny goes to go for a you can't escape, but it's blocked. And then instead he just does a standing Hurricane Run on both of them. And then he does a you can't escape monkey flip on Havoc into a backstabber while Kip was kind of in the corner. Gets a 2 count there. We get a big boot Kataro Crusher combo, and then a standing moonsault by Hangman for a 2 count. Havoc attempted to use a hacksaw. Apparently just grabs a hacksaw and tries to start swinging it, but he misses. Kip does a tornado DDT on Kenny while that's all going on. And then Havoc does a Death Valley driver on Kenny onto Hangman, who's down in the corner. We get the diving foot stomps by Kip Sabian, and then a fisherman DDT. But Hangman breaks up the count. We then get a poison Rana by Kip on Kenny, which looked rough. Kenny then gets back to his feet, is able to do a snapdragon on Havoc, and then does a V-trigger on Kip. They double team Havoc and Kip. Some really great moves back and forth, kind of like a toss into a German suplex, and then a toss into a power bomb, and then into a V-trigger. And then they hit the last call on Havoc, which is the V-trigger buckshot lariat combination for the win. Got a lot of time. I know they kind of talked about the ring rust of Kenny and Omega. They hadn't teamed in a while, but they were able to persevere, and now they will have best friends at Fyter Fest. Both teams were looking on still. We then get a video from earlier in the week of Tully Blanchard completely blowing up on Spears, saying what does he want his legacy to be. Then we get earlier today, or that day, Tully meets with Spears. He goes into a limo and he says the search for Spears is over and that he knows what he found the missing piece. So he gives him a case, and it turns out it's just a black glove, no finger, the finger's cut off. It doesn't look like it's a loaded glove, so I wasn't sure what it represented. But then right after that, Ross said it's been made infamous by past stars. He just doesn't say who, but I think it might have been like another Blanchard or maybe an Orton or something. I don't know. I really wasn't sure. We get a recap of the Jericho Tyson stuff from last week, and then a recap of Cage's match. We then get Cage versus Sean Dean, the captain. Cage right away smashes Dean into the corner, does a belly-to-belly overhead release suplex, does a pump handle Falcon Arrow type move. Then he does suplex back into the ring from the second rope, hits a buckle bomb, and then the Drow Claw for the win. Just a quick squash match. Taz then cuts a promo. He's mad that Moxley seemed to mock them last week. He said that Cage is going to kick the living shit out of you. This is not a game or a joke. Of course, that prompts Moxley's music to hit. He arrives from the crowd, goes right into the ring. Taz kind of gives him a warning before he does that. Know what you're doing and who you're doing it to. And he says that he's smiling because going to war with Cage makes him happy. That's why he came here. He says Cage is over his head for going after his title and that he can't be intimidated. We then get Lance Archer at a construction site beating up a luchador, because random luchadors are always at construction sites. Made no sense, but it was kind of funny. He grabs Alex Marvez by the jacket, says one loss means nothing to him, and that when he says everybody dies, everybody dies. And even Jake Roberts looks a little shook, apologizes to Alex. I don't know if he's just kind of doing it for show or if he's, in kayfabe actually worried. Maybe that he's unleashed some monster on AEW. Who knows? We then get a recap of the Hardy and Private Party stuff from last week's 6-man tag, how Hardy helped Mark Quinn when he was hurt. We then get from a spot from earlier today, a Private Party at their bar. They're not happy with the loss. Obviously, Matt Hardy shows up, and they're like super thrilled, like kind of marking out over it. Quinn said, he asked how the knee is. He said the knee is fine, and he was really impressed with them. Hardy says that, and he says they're the future, and their bond reminds them of the Hardy Boys. And obviously, Private Party start marking out. They're doing the stuff. They're doing all the mannerisms of the Hardys, and Matt Hardy's obviously enjoying it. He says there were a lot of veterans who helped them when they were coming up, so he wants to be able to help Private Party. Anything they need, just ask. Cassidy pitches, Matt Hardy, Private Party, Hardy Party. So he's like, okay, sure. So as Hardy leaves, he passes Sammy Guevara with his kind of scooter thing for his leg. Says that they're cool now, and he has respect for them. And Sammy just looks really confused, doesn't know what to do. We then get a recap of the TNT title situation, the win, the promo that was cut by Cody, and then the over-the-top battle royal that saw that Jungle Boy won. We then are told at the next pay-per-view, which is actually going to be on regular television, it's going to be Fyter Fest, and it's going to be spread out over 2 nights, starting on July 1st and July 8th. And so it's going to be all titles will be defended. I'm assuming because there's only 3 that maybe there will be multiple title defenses on both days. We then get a recap of the Inner Circle pep rally. Then we get a quick cut of Tyson saying he's coming back for Jericho and he's going to get his ass kicked. And that, it's not over. They're showing the interaction between Colt and Jericho from backstage after, where he's blaming Colt Cabana. And he's like, Cabana! So that set up the match for Colt Cabana versus Chris Jericho, which takes place next. Jericho comes out with Sammy and Jake Hager. Sammy is singing awfully and butchers Judas. It looks like Jericho's trying not to laugh as it's going on. We then get a quick shot of QT and Allie in the crowd, still doing their thing. Jericho showing off his boxing skills, trying to punch Colt in the corner. I guess it's, kind of letting us know, hey, he can box. Colt, we get sends Jericho to the outside. Hager tries to intimidate him, but it doesn't. Colt then hits a moonsault from the second rope onto both of them on the outside. While the ref is distracted by Jericho in the ring, Hager dumps Colt over the corner while kind of like hitting the top turnbuckle. Jericho goes for a bulldog, but Colt sends him into the corner, does his flying apple splash, and then does a actual splash, and then gets a 2 count there. Jericho goes for a lion salt, misses, but he actually lands on his feet. Pretty impressive. He baits Colt into the Superman pin by kind of laying on his back and putting his legs up, but as Colt Cabana does the Superman, Jericho puts his legs down and then kind of transitions into the walls of Jericho. Colt gets to the ropes, able to break it. Jericho thinks he actually won the match. He then goes to Aubrey and tells her she's a shitty ref, and Aubrey, as usual, just kind of is like, all right, whatever, because she gets told that every match with Chris Jericho now. It's kind of funny. We get Colt with a head scissors and then an avalanche Frankensteiner for a 2 count. Colt tries to get fancy, when he goes into the ring for a transition and ends up walking right into a Judas effect. Gets knocked out for the win. Jericho wins. Jericho then cuts a post-match promo, tells the crowd to shut their asses, as usual. The same thing will happen to Tyson. That piece of shit wants to shove Tyson's head up his own ass. And then for some reason they bleep out ass. I don't know why. Hold on a second. Okay, just want to make sure I was recording for a second. I thought I didn't. So he wants to get him right now. He can't wait. He says, I'm not going to wait for the next pay-per-view, the next Dynamite. I want him right now. Where's the baddest man on the planet? I want the baddest man on the planet. And then, sure enough, Best Friends music hits, and Orange Cassidy comes out, the baddest man on the planet. He does his slow roll into the ring, confronts Jericho and Hager. Jericho is just like, what the hell's going on? Cassidy takes both his hands and puts them in his belt because Jericho doesn't have pockets. Then Cassidy puts his hands in his pockets. Jericho, you could tell, is having fun with this, but he tells Hager to go after him. So Hager goes for a clothesline, misses. Jericho goes for a clothesline, misses. And then Cassidy rolls out, backs up to the barricade where Best Friends are. Best Friends pick him up over the barricade and they leave. He's obviously very pissed off. The rest of Inner Circle come out. Obviously this isn't over, and we find out there will be a match next week regarding that. We then get a hysterical vignette of Britt Baker's recovery, trying to do all these different types of workouts, getting mad at the AEW main trainer, doctor. I believe he's a doctor, but he's like a orthopedic, maybe, I don't know, a sports doctor. But it's really funny watching, she can't lift certain weights. She makes Reba, the makeup artist / assistant, do all this stuff for her. The best part is at the very end when she's kind of rolling up the ramp, I guess, doing some arm strengthening, and the trainer and Reba there, and they're cheering her on, and she's just like looking all gritty and like angry, and then all of a sudden Tony Schiavone comes in between them, and both of them are like, what the hell is this guy doing here? And then Britt Baker's face lights up, and she gets up there, and they're all cheering. It's really funny. We then get Nyla Rose versus Big Swole. Swole rocking the yellow Ranger, Power Ranger gear, which I thought was pretty cool. We get a shot of Britt watching over. She's not happy. Sheeta's also in the crowd. Swole attempts to do shoulder blocks on Rose but can't move her. She then gets Rose in an abdominal stretch. Eventually Rose just hip tosses her out of it. Swole does a low bridge. Rose is sent to the outside but hits the apron really hard on her back. And then Swole gets her feet swept out from her on the apron. Swole able to match power with a lot of strikes, which was really interesting. Swole into the ring with the cutter for a 2 count. She then chop blocks Nyla Rose and a kick to the back of the head. Rose hits a spear out of nowhere, goes for a beast bomb, but it's reversed into a pinning attempt for a 2 count. Swole then goes for her finisher, which is Dirty Dancing, the kind of like ripcord spinning forearm, but Rose counters with this huge sit-down spine buster for the win. Interesting that it wasn't the beast bomb. I guess they're just showing that she's so powerful that she doesn't need to hit her ultimate finisher. We get Tony on the outside of the ring with an interview for Swole, saying that this was her first match in months, and said the time off helped her center herself. We then hear Britt yelling and tells Reba to drive her over, so they kind of drive so fast that they hit the barricade. The barricade hits the cameraman. It's kind of funny, not severely, but just enough. Swole gets pissed off and grabs a chair, jumps over the barricade. Britt is like, yo, back up. So as they back up, she then throws the chair. So it looks like there'll be some kind of program with the two of them. Obviously, this started a few weeks ago when there was during there was some kind of interview going on at the top of the ramp, and she said that she's a miss, and it turns out she's a Mrs. Britt was telling Swole that she's a miss, and she says, I'm married. Where's your boyfriend, Baby? So it was back and forth. It was pretty cool. So then Swole throws the chair away, and then we get she says like F off to MJ and Wardlow, and MJF is just like relax, and he starts blaming Tony Schiavone for everything that's going on. We get a backstage interview with Darby Allin from earlier in the day with Tony. Doctors haven't cleared him based on the injuries he suffered in the ladder match. Tony asks if these interactions with Taz recently had a factor in it. He just says that the last laugh is going to be on him for Cage, so to look out, Brian Cage. We then get an FTR sit-down interview that was taped earlier in the day with Tony. He asked them what FTR stands for, and they say not a tagline, it's a way of life. Fear the revolution, follow the rules. Now, because they're AEW is the revolution, they're for the revolution. So they name drop all the big teams, but they don't mention the Bucks. They say that the dream match is to everyone but themselves. Dave Meltzer is singing their praises. They didn't attack the Bucks because they just want the Bucks to be 100%. They want no excuses when they finally face them and beat them. They want all of commentary to say that they're the best when they finally beat the Bucks and prove it. Tony says, they finished the interview, and he says, all that time I thought it meant fuck the Revival, and fuck and Revival are bleeped out. They start laughing about it, and then we hear the Butcher and the Blade show up from the top of the stairs, and they're trying to show up to start a fight. They said that it wasn't personal, it was business, and if they want to settle it like businessmen, that they can face each other in the ring next week. Butcher and the Blade agree, and then Dash throws a water bottle at their face, and all the somehow everyone just happened to be waiting there off stage, and like all these different wrestlers, they were able to break it up. We find out for next week we get Colt Cabana versus Sammy Guevara. We get wait, hold on one second, did I miss that? Where is this? Backstage interview, FTR interview. Oh yes, okay. Sorry, I thought I missed something, but it's right next. So next week we get Colt versus Sammy. Mark Quinn is going to be facing whoever wins of Cody and Jungle Boy he's going to get the next open challenge for the TNT title. FTR versus Butcher and the Blade. We get Santana Ortiz and Hager versus Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, and Moxley apparently will be wrestling on Dark for the first time, so that'll be interesting. We then get Whoop, something in sports. I don't know. Something about the NBA. It's coming back. So then we get Alex Marvez backstage with Cole Cabana, saying that he has a good record, but he just can't get the big wins. Brody Lee shows up, says losses are necessary for growth, saying that he took a loss, but he's grown from it, he understands from it, and that Brody can help him. And then there's that guy who's in the Dark Order who does all the commercials for them, hands Cole Cabana a water bottle and walks off. Says that isn't something he wants to be a part of, but he still takes a drink of the water. Who knows if that's that water has anything in it or not. We then get to our main event, which is Jungle Boy versus Cody for the TNT title. We get shots of MJF. Clearly, he's not pleased. We get a step up. The match starts. We get a step up run by Jungle Boy. Goes for quick pins. Cody with a huge chop in the corner. Cody catches Jungle Boy for a power slam in midair for a 2 count. Cody puts on the figure 4. Jungle Boy is able to get to the ropes. Cody goes for a disaster kick while Jungle Boy is on the apron. He misses. And then Jungle Boy does a springboard tornado DDT. Jungle Boy with a suicide dive goes for a second one, but Cody actually catches him and throws him into the crowd onto Billy Gunn and Austin Gunn, the Gun Club. Cody goes for a headbutt on the outside and then just headbutts a wall. Then he gigs himself. MJF and Jungle Boy start jawing at each other while this is going on, saying MJF calls him a joke and says that he doesn't deserve a title shot before him. Jungle Boy goes right after it. I don't know what that is. We get a pump kick by Cody, who's having trouble seeing because he gigged himself and he's bleeding. Cody drop kicks Jungle Boy while he's on the top rope, and so he falls off. Cody with a stalling suplex while he's holding him from the second rope for a 2 count. Cody goes for a figure 4 again, but Jungle Boy counters. They're both fighting on the top rope and fall off to the outside through the table. I don't know why the table was pushed out that far. I don't know what happened. Cody is up first. He goes back into the ring with Jungle Boy, hits the crossroads, a really devastating crossroads, for the win. Dustin, Brandy, Luchasaurus, and Marco all come out. They're all kind of celebrating. Jungle Boy and Cody hug in the middle of the ring. It looks like he says something like, next time. He's like, next time you'll get it, next time. Hold on one second. So that is Dynamite. Let's see where we're at here. Oh wow, I've got a pretty decent quickness here. As always, I'm going to do my match of the week. And my match of the week is actually going to be the tag team title match from the beginning of Dynamite. Hangman and Omega retaining over Sabian and Havoc. This was a great match. It really made Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc look really strong even in defeat. They gave them a lot of time, gave them a lot of opportunity to do offense. They were able to kind of, so people don't think, oh, they just gave them all this offense. They were able to kind of say, like, hey, the champions are rusty. They haven't tagged in a while Kip and Havoc have been tagging on Dark and Dynamite for a while. So it was a really fantastic match. A lot of great moves, a lot of great double team moves with Hangman and Kenny Omega. I think their title reign is going to come to an end at Fyre Fest against Best Friends. Just my opinion. I think that's what's going to happen. Eventually, the Bucks or FTR are going to take it off Best Friends that way. So there you have it. That is my AEW Week in Review, BTE, AEW Dark, and AEW Dynamite with my match of the week. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Obviously I want to make the channel grow. Hold on one second. Let's see if we can get her now. There she is. Oh, she's camera shy. Anyway, so you can find me on my social media there. And, look out for my WWE Week in Review, my NXT TakeOver preview and predictions, as well as my NXT recap and review that I'll be posting sometime tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're watching TakeOver, have fun with it. Stay safe. Love each other. And bye now. about time I told you. You don't know shit. You don't know anything. You think you do. You don't know anything. You don't know shit. You know nothing. Nothing. You might have heard it from other people. You haven't heard it from me. You know nothing. Well, that was mean.